My beloved child, stop everything you are doing right now. Do not move from where you are sitting. Do not allow a single thought to pull you away from what I am about to place inside your spirit at this very moment. I, Archangel Michael, have come to you today with something that has never been delivered before. Something that the heavens have been holding in safekeeping until this exact breath you are drawing right now. There is a sealed letter with your name written across it in golden ink, and it was composed before the foundations of this world were ever laid down. Every word inside that letter was chosen with a precision that no human language can fully describe. And today, right here, right now, I have been given permission to break that seal and read its contents directly into the deepest chambers of your heart. Do not look away. Do not allow your mind to wander into the distractions that have been strategically placed around you at this hour. The enemy already knows what is inside this letter. He has known for a long time, and he has spent years trying to make sure you would never sit still long enough to hear it. Every interruption that tried to pull you away from this moment, every excuse that whispered you could come back to this later, every sudden noise or thought that tried to fracture your attention in the last few seconds. None of that was accidental. It was coordinated resistance, because what you are about to receive has the power to permanently alter the direction of your remaining days on this earth. I need you to understand something before I begin reading from this letter. What I am about to share with you is not a collection of pleasant sentiments designed to make you feel temporarily better. This is a decree from the throne room of the Most High God, spoken specifically over your life, your circumstances, and your future. The words that follow carry an authority that overrides every contract the enemy has tried to write against you, every agreement that fear has forced you into signing, and every limitation that the world has attempted to stamp across your identity. Today, those chains receive their final notice of termination. So settle your spirit. Let the weight of this world slide off your shoulders for these next moments, and receive what has been waiting for you since before your mother ever spoke your name for the first time. My precious child, the first line of the sealed letter speaks directly to the battles you have been fighting when no one else was watching. I know about the mornings when you woke up and the very first feeling that greeted you was a heaviness so thick that even opening your eyes felt like an act of war. I know about the nights you spent staring at the ceiling, turning questions over and over in your mind like stones that would never become smooth, no matter how many times you rolled them. Questions about whether things would ever truly change. Questions about whether the prayers you had been sending upward were reaching anywhere at all, or simply dissolving into the silence above you. I saw every one of those moments, not from a distance, not as a passing observer who glanced at your struggle and then moved on to something more important. I was stationed beside you through every single second of it. When the tears came at 2 a.m. and you pressed your face into the pillow so that no one in the next room would hear, I was the one holding the space around you so that even in your most shattered moment, you were completely surrounded by a protection you could not see, but your spirit could feel. There is a weariness inside you that goes deeper than physical exhaustion, my child. It lives in a place that sleep cannot reach, and rest cannot fully repair. It is the weariness of a soul that has been carrying responsibilities it was never designed to shoulder alone. You have been the strong one for so long that the people around you have forgotten to ask whether you need strength poured back into you. You have been the anchor for others, while your own foundation was cracking underneath where no one could see. You have smiled through seasons that were silently crushing you from the inside out, and you did it with such convincing grace that the world around you never suspected how close you came to simply stopping. But I knew. I always knew. And, my precious child, the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still listening to these words at this very moment, is not because you were strong enough to survive on your own. It is because I was carrying what you could not. Every morning that you somehow found the energy to get out of bed, when everything in you wanted to stay down, that was my hand beneath your back, lifting you into the day. Every moment when you chose to keep going, despite having no visible reason to believe that anything would change, that was my breath in your lungs. my courage replacing your depleted reserves, my stubborn refusal to let you fall into the pit that the enemy had dug in your path. The struggles you have endured were not pointless, my child. I need you to hear that with absolute clarity. Every season of waiting that stretched beyond what you thought you could endure, every door that remained locked no matter how desperately you knocked, every relationship that crumbled when you thought it was supposed to hold, every financial pressure that squeezed tighter when you were already gasping. None of those things were signs that I had forgotten you. None of them meant that your prayers had been filed away and ignored. They were part of a refining process, so specific and so intentional that it could only have been designed by someone who knows the exact composition of your soul and the precise temperature required to burn away what does not belong without destroying what is precious. You were being shaped, my child. In the fire of those trials, something was being forged inside you that could not have been created through comfort alone. Strength of a kind that only emerges through resistance. Compassion of a depth that only forms in the heart of someone who has genuinely suffered. Discernment sharp enough to recognize the difference between what the world offers and what heaven provides. A discernment that cannot be taught in any classroom, but must be lived through in the trenches of real, unscripted, unglamorous hardship. And now, today, all of that preparation is reaching its completion point. The season of formation is giving way to the season of activation. What was being built inside you during those hidden years is about to become visible in ways that will leave both you and the people watching your life absolutely speechless. Type the word Amen in the comments right now if your spirit is confirming that every word I have spoken so far has landed exactly where it was meant to land. Just that one word. Let it be your signal to heaven that you are present, that you are listening, and that you are ready to receive what comes next. My beloved, I also want to address something that has been quietly eating away at your confidence for longer than you care to admit. You have been carrying a suspicion, a dark, whispering doubt, that perhaps you waited too long, that the opportunities I once held open for you have already closed because you hesitated when you should have moved, that the delays in your life were not divine timing but your fault, the result of wrong choices, missed signals, and moments when fear won the battle over faith. I am dismantling that lie today with the full authority of heaven behind my words. Listen to me carefully, my child. You have not missed your moment. Not a single one of my promises has expired because you were slow to believe them. The things I have decreed over your existence operate on a timeline that human mistakes cannot derail. Your detours did not cancel my destinations. Your hesitations did not exhaust my patience. And the years that the enemy convinced you were wasted, I am going to restore them with such abundance that you will struggle to remember why you ever doubted in the first place. Let this truth become the declaration that rises from your spirit like incense before the throne. You receive what God has been preparing. You refuse to believe that the best days are behind you. Today, you step into the fullness of what was always meant to be yours. Let that reality settle into every corner of your being, my beloved child, because what I am about to reveal to you next will require a heart that has already decided to believe before the evidence arrives. Now let me tell you about the adversary who has been working overtime against you, my child. Because there is someone who has been studying your patterns, your vulnerabilities, and your most private fears with a level of dedication that would disturb you if you could see it clearly. He does not attack you the way he attacks others. He has customized his strategy against you because he knows exactly what you carry inside, and he is terrified of what happens when you finally step into the fullness of it. His primary weapon against you has never been the dramatic attacks, the obvious crises that force you to your knees in desperate prayer. No. His most effective tool has been the slow, quiet, almost undetectable erosion of your confidence. He whispers in a voice so close to your own thoughts that you cannot distinguish his suggestions from your genuine concerns. He plants questions that sound reasonable, doubts that seem logical, fears that appear to be simple common sense. And over time, those whispers accumulate into a wall between you and the very thing I have been calling you toward. He has told you that your best years are over. He has pointed to your history of disappointments and constructed a convincing argument that expecting anything different is just setting yourself up for another fall. And because his voice has been so consistent, so devastatingly patient in its repetition, parts of you started to believe him. But today, my child, today I am exposing his strategy so completely that it will never carry the same weight again. Because here is what the enemy does not want you to understand. He is not fighting you because you are weak. He is fighting you because you are dangerous. The very intensity of the resistance you have faced is a direct measurement of the threat you pose to his kingdom. Ordinary lives do not attract this level of strategic opposition. Common destinies do not require this much effort to derail. The fact that he has invested so heavily in keeping you confused, discouraged, and paralyzed in uncertainty is the single greatest proof that what lives inside you has the power to devastate his plans in ways that extend far beyond your own personal story. You are not just fighting for yourself, my beloved. Whether you know it or not, there are people connected to your breakthrough whose own liberation depends on yours. There are chains that will only break when you walk into your assignment. There are doors that will only open for others when your obedience activates the mechanism that unlocks them. The enemy sees this entire chain reaction, and that is precisely why he has been so relentless. He is not just trying to stop you. He is trying to stop everyone who is waiting on the other side of your yes. Let me address something else that has been blocking you, my child. The weight of time. You have been looking at the calendar and measuring your life against where you thought you would be by now. You had timelines. You had expectations. You had pictures in your mind of what your life was supposed to look like at this age, in this season, at this particular point in your journey. And when reality failed to match those pictures, something inside you began to wither. Hope became expensive. Expectation started to feel like a luxury you could no longer afford. And gradually, without even realizing it was happening, you began to lower what you believed was possible for your life. Not because God reduced his promises, but because disappointment taught you that expecting less hurts, less when things do not work out. I am shattering that protective mechanism right now, my child. Because what it was designed to protect you from further heartbreak is actually preventing you from receiving the very thing that would heal every heartbreak you have ever experienced. You cannot receive an ocean of blessing through a pipeline you have narrowed down to a trickle out of fear. Today, I am telling you to open those valves again. Not recklessly, not foolishly, but with the confidence of someone who has been given a guarantee from the one who controls every outcome in the universe. If these words are speaking to something buried inside you that you have not shared with another living soul, subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications. This is not the last time I will speak to you through this place. What I am delivering today is the beginning of a conversation that will continue to unfold across the days and weeks ahead. There are layers to what I need to show you that cannot be compressed into a single encounter. Subscribe now so that nothing I send you in the future falls into the silence without reaching your ears. Now I must speak about the hidden cargo you have been hauling through your days, my beloved child. Not the burdens that people can see when they look at your life. Not the obvious challenges or the visible responsibilities. I am talking about the things you carry in the spaces between your public moments. The guilt that has never fully released its grip on your conscience. The shame that surfaces at 3 a.m. when your defenses are lowest. The inventory of personal failures that you have memorized so thoroughly that you could recite them in your sleep. You carry regret for words you spoke that you can never take back. You carry sorrow for decisions that seemed right at the time, but produced on consequences that still echo in your present circumstances. You carry a private disappointment with yourself that is perhaps the heaviest burden of all. The feeling that you knew better and still chose differently. That the signs were clear and you ignored them. that the voice inside was speaking and you covered your ears because the truth it offered was harder than the lie you were already comfortable with. My child, I did not come here today to pretend those things do not exist. I came here to tell you that they do not define you. Those mistakes are real. The consequences were real. The pain they caused, both to you and sometimes to others, was genuine, and I do not minimize it. But here is the truth that the enemy has been desperate to keep hidden from you. My grace did not look at your failures and decide to work around them. My grace looked at your failures and decided to work through them. Every single misstep you have ever taken has been woven into a redemption story so intricate and so beautiful that the very things you are most ashamed of will become the most powerful chapters of your testimony. You are not disqualified. Say that out loud right now with me. I am not disqualified. The mistakes I made do not have the authority to cancel what God has planned. My worst chapter is not my final chapter. And the grace that found me in my lowest moment is the same grace that is lifting me into my highest purpose. That is the truth, my beloved. And it is written in permanent ink across the sealed letter that I am reading to you today. No amount of regret can erase it. No volume of shame can smudge it. No enemy argument can revise it. It stands because the one who wrote it does not change his mind based on your performance. He wrote it based on his love. And his love is not a fluctuating emotion that rises and falls with your behavior. It is a fixed, immovable, eternal decision that was made about you before you ever had the chance to earn it or ruin it. Let me take you deeper now, my precious child, because the seal on this letter is being broken further, and what lies beneath these next layers will reshape the way you see everything that has happened and everything that is about to happen. There's a choice standing before you at this very moment, not the kind of choice between two visible options that you can weigh and measure with logic. This is a choice of the Spirit, a crossroads that exists in the invisible realm where the most important decisions of a human life are always made. You have stood at crossroads before. You know the sensation, that suspended feeling where every breath seems heavier because it carries the weight of a direction you have not yet committed to. You have made choices at those crossroads that lifted you higher, and you have made choices that sent you into valleys so deep that climbing out consumed years of your energy. But I want you to understand something critical about this particular crossroads, my child. Every single junction you have ever faced, every turn you have ever taken, right or wrong, has been leading you to this one. The mistakes did not disqualify you from arriving here. The detours did not add distance that would prevent you from reaching this moment. Everything, the victories and the failures, was a road that pointed in this direction. The choice before you now is not about what to do. It is about what to believe. It is about whether you will look at the pattern of my faithfulness woven through every chapter of your life, including the darkest ones, and make a decision that my intentions toward you have always been for your good. Not just occasionally. Not just when things worked out the way you wanted. Always. Even in the losses. Even in the confusion. Even in the seasons when my silence felt like abandonment and my timing felt like cruelty. The question is whether you will trust that the same God who carried you through those fires without letting you be consumed is the same God who is standing at this crossroads right now, extending his hand and saying with absolute certainty, "This way. Come with me." The path I have chosen for you leads somewhere you cannot imagine from where you are standing. Type this into the comments now, my beloved. I choose to trust God even when I cannot see the full picture. I choose faith over fear. I choose to believe that what is ahead of me is greater than anything I have left behind. Let those words become an anchor in your spirit, because the revelation that follows will require a foundation of trust that is already in place. Now I must speak to you about something that will challenge you, my child. Something that your flesh will resist hearing even as your spirit leaps at the recognition of its truth. You have been holding on to things with a grip so tight that your knuckles have gone white and your arms have begun to ache from the strain. You are gripping relationships that have already served their purpose in your journey. You are clutching plans that you built with your own understanding, but that do not align with the architecture I have drawn for your future. You are holding on to financial security with a desperation that has transformed a reasonable desire for stability into an idol that sits in the place where trust in my provision was supposed to live. I am not asking you to be foolish. I am not commanding you to abandon wisdom or throw caution into the wind without thought. What I am calling you to do is something far more radical and far more powerful. I am calling you to learn the posture of open hands. Hands that hold everything loosely enough to let me rearrange, remove, or replace what needs changing, while trusting completely that anything you truly meant for you cannot be lost by loosening your grip. Open hands are not weak hands, my child. They are the strongest hands in the kingdom of heaven. They are hands that have moved from the economy of scarcity, where everything must be hoarded because there might not be enough, into the economy of my abundance, where release always precedes increase, and giving always opens the door to receiving. Here is the first great revelation written in this sealed letter, my beloved child, and I need you to receive it with every fiber of your being. You were not an accident. You were not a coincidence. You were not a backup plan that I settled for when my first choice did not work out. You were the intended creation of a God who does nothing randomly and designs nothing without purpose. Every single quality you possess, including the ones you have spent years trying to hide or apologize for, was placed inside you with surgical precision. Because the assignment I built you to carry requires exactly that combination and no other. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a receiver that I installed in your spirit so that you could detect signals that other hearts are not tuned to pick up. Your emotional depth is not a weakness that needs to be toughened away. It is a well from which others will draw living water in seasons when their own wells have run dry. Your unusual way of seeing the world, the way you notice things that others walk right past, the way you feel the atmosphere of a room before a single word has been spoken. That is not anxiety or overthinking. That is a prophetic antenna that I calibrated for the specific frequency of your calling. The world tried to standardize you, my child. It tried to file down your edges so you would fit into categories that were never designed to contain what I placed inside you. People measured you against templates that had nothing to do with my blueprint. They evaluated you by standards that were created by those who have never seen the original design. And when you did not fit, when you could not perform the way the template demanded, both they and you concluded that something was wrong with you. But the truth, the burning, undeniable truth that this sealed letter declares with heaven's full authority behind it, is that nothing was ever wrong with you. You were simply being measured by the wrong ruler. The only ruler that has the right to measure your worth is the one who designed you. And by my measurement, my beloved child, you are exactly, perfectly, completely what I intended you to be. And this is precisely why what we are building through this ministry matters more than any of us can fully comprehend. Because there are millions of souls out there right now who have never heard these truths spoken over their lives, who are still walking under the wrong measurements, still believing the enemy's assessment of their worth, still carrying shame that was never theirs to hold. One woman wrote to us recently and said, "I was about to give up on everything, on myself, on God, on life itself. Then I found this message, and something inside me that had been dead for 12 years started breathing again." Another listener shared, "For the first time in my adult life, I genuinely believe that God did not make a mistake when He made me. Those are real lives being changed, my child." If those words resonate with what you yourself are experiencing right now, if this sealed letter is reaching rooms inside you that have been locked for years, then I want you to know that you can become part of ensuring these messages reach every soul they are destined to touch. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can support this mission by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of this community. Every act of generosity you extend becomes a bridge that carries this word into someone else's darkest hour. And what you give into this divine assignment does not disappear. It plants a seed in kingdom soil that will produce a harvest in your own life far beyond what you invested. But now let me take you even deeper into what this letter contains, because what comes next, my beloved child, will address the very thing that has been standing between you and the freedom I designed you to walk in. The next passage of this sealed letter speaks about healing, my child, and not the surface level healing that temporarily soothes the visible symptoms while leaving the root system of pain completely intact beneath the ground. I am talking about the kind of healing that goes to the origin point, the exact moment when the wound was first inflicted, and repairs the damage at its source so thoroughly that not even a scar remains to remind you of what happened there. There are injuries inside you that predate your adult understanding, my beloved. Wounds that were inflicted when you were too young to have the language to describe what happened, too small to defend yourself, and too trusting to believe that the people who were supposed to protect you would be the same ones who caused the deepest damage. I was present at every one of those moments. I watched words land on your young heart with the force of a hammer striking glass. I saw looks of disapproval register in your developing mind and write themselves permanently into your understanding of what it means to be loved, or not loved. I felt your confusion when affection was given and then suddenly withdrawn, when approval seemed to depend on performance that constantly shifted its standards, when the people you relied on most became unpredictable in ways that taught your nervous system to be always on guard, always scanning for the next shift in atmosphere, always preparing for a withdrawal of love that could come without warning. Those early experiences did not just hurt you in the past, my child. They installed patterns inside you that are still running today. The way you second-guess every decision before making it. The way you instinctively prepare for rejection, even in relationships that have shown you nothing but loyalty. The way you struggle to fully receive a compliment or sit comfortably in someone's undivided positive attention. Those are not character flaws. Those are survival programs that a wounded child created to navigate a world that felt unsafe. And while they served you well during the season when safety was genuinely in question, they are now barriers to the life I have prepared for you on the other side of that healing. Something is moving inside your chest right now, my child. A memory surfacing, a feeling rising that you were not expecting. Do not push it back down. That stirring is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that my spirit is touching the exact place where healing needs to begin. Let it come. Let whatever wants to rise reach the surface. I am holding the space around you right now with the same tenderness I used when I first saw those wounds being made. And this time, instead of watching them be inflicted, I am here to remove them. I am going into the rooms of your heart that you locked shut years ago because it felt safer to seal them off than to risk feeling what was stored inside. I am entering those spaces not as an intruder who will disturb what you have carefully managed, but as the master restorer who sees what is broken and knows exactly how to make it whole again. The cracks in your heart are not evidence of permanent damage, my beloved. When I fill them with my light, those very fractures become the places where the brightest illumination shines through. Your wounds are being converted, my child. Today, in this very moment, from sources of shame into sources of unprecedented strength. From chapters you wanted to tear out of your story into the very passages that will give other broken hearts permission to believe that restoration is genuinely possible. Type these words now, my beloved, and let them become the official pronouncement of your spirit over every wound that has been holding you captive. I release every injury that was done to me. I forgive the hands that caused them. And I receive the healing that Archangel Michael is delivering to me today. Not tomorrow. Not when I feel ready. Today. Now let me address the voices that told you lies about who you are, my precious child. Because the sealed letter in my hands contains a section that directly confronts every false name that was ever spoken over your identity. Someone told you that you were too much, that your emotions were excessive, your needs were unreasonable, your presence was overwhelming. Someone else told you that you were not enough, that you lacked the qualities necessary to be worthy of the opportunities, the relationships, or the blessings that seem to flow so easily toward others. Perhaps both messages came from the same source. Perhaps they came from different voices at different stages of your journey. But together they created an impossible standard that left you perpetually trapped between being too much of what was unwanted and not enough of what was required. I am revoking every one of those false assessments today, with the full weight of heaven's authority behind my declaration. Every label that was attached to you by someone who did not have the right or the wisdom to define you, I am peeling it away. Every conclusion about your worth that was drawn from a limited, biased, or wounded perspective, I am overriding it with the truth that was inscribed in this letter before time began. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are exactly the portion that I intended to place in this world at this specific moment in history. And the measurement that I use to evaluate your worth has nothing to do with performance, productivity, appearance, or achievement. It has to do with the simple, irreversible, unshakable fact that I made you. I chose you, and I want you. Not a modified version of you. Not a more polished, less complicated, easier to manage edition. I want the real you. The messy, beautiful, complicated, passionate, struggling, striving, hoping, hurting, glorious you that exists right now at this very second. Here is the deepening revelation, my child, and I need you to absorb it with the totality of your attention. The thing that has been blocking you, the invisible wall that has kept you circling the perimeter of your blessing without ever breaking through to possess it, is not what you think it is. It is not a lack of resources. It is not a shortage of talent. It is not the absence of the right connections, or the right timing or the right circumstances. What has been blocking you is a deeply buried agreement that you made with a lie. Somewhere along the road of your life, perhaps so long ago that you cannot even remember the moment it happened, you looked at the evidence of your pain, your disappointment, and your unmet expectations, and you quietly, privately, without telling another soul, you agreed with the enemy's interpretation of that evidence. You agreed that you were not special enough for the extraordinary things. You agreed that the blessings you saw others receiving were probably not in your category. You agreed that the safest thing to do with hope was to keep it small, so that the fall would be survivable when disappointment inevitably came. And that agreement, that silent, internal, almost unconscious contract with the enemy's narrative, has been acting as a ceiling over your life ever since. Not because it was true, not because God endorsed it, but because agreements have power in the spiritual realm, and the enemy has been enforcing that contract with everything he has. Today, right now, I am tearing up that contract in the spirit. I am breaking that agreement with the same authority that broke the power of death itself. And I am asking you, no, I am commanding you with all the urgency of a messenger who knows that timing matters, to renounce that agreement out loud. Say these words: I break every agreement I ever made with the lie that says I am less than what God created me to be. I cancel every contract with disappointment, with low expectations, and with the belief that extraordinary things are meant for other people and not for me. Today, I align my expectations with God's expectations for my life, and His expectations have no ceiling. My beloved child, this is the moment when I need you to do something that carries more power than you realize. I need you to share this message. right now. Think of at least three people in your life who are carrying the same sealed letter but have not yet heard it read to them. 3 people who are fighting battles in silence, believing lies about their identity, and quietly agreeing with the enemy's assessment of their worth. Send it to them right now. Put it in your Facebook groups. Text it directly to someone whose face just appeared in your mind. Post it in your church group chat. Do not overthink who needs this. Your spirit already knows. The face that flashed across your thoughts the moment I said 3 people is exactly who I am sending this word to through your hands. You are not just a listener right now, my child. You are a courier of heaven. And the delivery you make in the next 60 seconds could be the difference between someone giving up and someone finding the strength to hold on for one more day. There is a provision being assembled for you right now, my beloved child, in rooms you have never visited and through channels you have not yet discovered. I am not speaking about provision that barely covers your needs while leaving you in a constant state of anxiety about tomorrow. I am talking about provision that demonstrates visibly, tangibly, and undeniably that a supernatural hand is operating in your finances, your resources, and your opportunities. That God has turned his attention to your situation. And what he is about to release into your hands will not arrive through the channels you have been anxiously watching. It will come from a direction you never anticipated, at a speed that defies natural explanation, and in a quantity that removes all doubt about its source. Now let me read you the section of this sealed letter that concerns what is coming, my beloved child, because up until this point I have been addressing what was and what is. But the remaining passages of this letter are entirely about what will be, and I must tell you, the ink on these pages burns with a brightness that tells me the author wrote them with particular joy. There are relationships approaching your life that will be unlike anything you have previously experienced. I am not speaking about casual connections or surface-level friendships that provide companionship without depth. I am talking about covenant relationships. People who were specifically prepared for the exact season you are about to enter. People who will understand you without requiring lengthy explanations because their spirits recognize yours the way a lost instrument recognizes the orchestra it was always meant to be part of. These people have been in training just as you have been. They have been walking through their own fires, their own wilderness seasons, their own dark nights. And the reason for all of that parallel preparation is that when your paths converge, the partnership that forms will carry a combined authority that neither of you could have accessed alone. Some of these people are already closer than you realize. That acquaintance who keeps crossing your path in ways that feel oddly repetitive. That person whose name keeps appearing in your thoughts without obvious reason. That connection that has been sitting on the periphery of your life, waiting for the right moment to move to the center. Pay attention, my child. I am orchestrating introductions that do not look like introductions. I am engineering reunions that do not look like reunions. And the moment you step into the fullness of what I have been preparing you for, the recognition will be instant and mutual. But before those relationships can take root, there is something you must first recover. Something you buried so deep that you almost forgot it existed. I am talking about the dream, my child. The one you stopped speaking about years ago because speaking it out loud became too painful. The vision you once carried for your life that used to fill you with such excitement and purpose that it felt like electricity running through your entire body. That dream about who you could become, what you could build, the difference you could make in this world, the legacy you could leave behind. You put that dream away carefully, my beloved. You folded it neatly and placed it in a hidden drawer where no one could find it, and no disappointment could damage it further. You told yourself that it was childish, that life had taught you to be more realistic. that the gap between where you are and where that dream lives was simply too wide to cross. And so the dream sat in that drawer collecting dust while you settled into a version of your life that was manageable but never truly alive. I placed that dream inside you, my child. It was not a random fantasy generated by an immature imagination. It was a prophetic preview of the life I designed you to live. That dream came from the same source that spoke galaxies into existence and painted every sunrise with colors that have never been replicated. It was placed in your heart as a navigation beacon, a homing signal designed to keep pulling you toward the coordinates of your divine assignment, even when everything around you was telling you to abandon the journey. And I can tell you now with absolute certainty that putting that dream away did not kill it. You can't kill something that originated in the mouth of God. It has been in a state of divine hibernation, resting, being preserved, waiting with infinite patience for the moment when the conditions would be exactly right for its reawakening. That moment, my beloved child, is now, today, this breath, this heartbeat. The conditions I have been preparing are in place. The strength you have been building through your trials is sufficient. The character that was forged in your fire is ready to carry the weight of the fulfillment. Everything that needed to happen before this dream could safely be unwrapped has happened. Do not let the enemy convince you that reaching for that dream again is irresponsible or naive, my beloved. The person who held that dream years ago and the person holding it now are not the same individual. You have walked through fires that did more than test you. They purified you. They burned away the immaturity and the unrealistic expectations that would have sabotaged the dream if it had been fulfilled on your original timeline. What remains is not a weakened version of who you were. It is a concentrated version, stripped of everything unnecessary and reinforced in everything essential. The dream itself has been refined in the waiting, pruned and shaped by my hands until it fits the current season perfectly. I want to speak about peace now, my precious child. Not the fragile peace that depends on your circumstances finally cooperating with your plans. Not the conditional peace that arrives only when every bill is paid, every relationship is stable, and every question about your future has a satisfying answer. I am offering you something that operates on an entirely different mechanism. A peace so rooted in my nature rather than your situation, that it remains completely undisturbed, even when the ground beneath your feet is shaking violently. This peace does not come from understanding what is happening. It comes from knowing who is in control of what is happening, and the one who is in control, the one whose hand is steering every current and calibrating every storm, is the same one who held you through every night you thought would break you and brought you out the other side still breathing, still standing, still capable of hearing these words at this very moment. That is the foundation of the peace I am depositing into your spirit today. Not a peace that needs the storm to stop before it can function. A peace that can sleep through the storm because it knows the captain of the vessel and trusts his navigation absolutely. I see the question that lives at the very bottom of your heart, my beloved child. The one buried so deep that you have never spoken it out loud to another human being. It hides underneath all of your other questions like a stone at the bottom of a well, heavy, smooth, and polished by years of being turned over in secret. Does my life actually matter? Is there genuinely something unique about my existence? Or am I simply one forgettable face in a sea of billions whose days will pass without leaving a permanent mark on anything? I hear that question, my child. I have heard it every time it surfaced. And I want to answer it now with a finality that leaves no room for the doubt to return. You matter to me with a specificity that defies what your human mind considers possible. I do not love you as part of a crowd. I do not extend kindness toward you as a generalized act of divine benevolence spread thin across the population. My love for you is as focused, as detailed, and as intensely personal as if you were the only soul I had ever created. The universe in all its vastness does not dilute my attention to you by a single fraction. Billions of hearts do not make yours less central to my affection. My love is not a finite resource that must be divided. It is an infinite ocean, and you have the entirety of it, my beloved child. Every wave, every depth, every current, it is all yours. And so, I plant this declaration into the foundation of your spirit, where no storm can reach it. You matter. Not because of what you produce. Not because of what you achieve. Not because others approve of you, or the world validates your existence. You matter because the God of all creation looked at you and decided, with the full weight of his eternal intention, that you were worth making, worth saving, worth calling, and worth fighting for. That is enough. That will always be enough. Now hear me with everything you have, my child, because what I am about to say is the charge of the sealed letter, the directive that every preceding word has been building toward. The world around you is entering a season of instability that will test every foundation that is not built on unshakable ground. Systems that generations relied upon are showing fractures that cannot be patched. Structures that appeared permanent are revealing their vulnerability. And in the middle of this global trembling, there will be two kinds of people. Those whose security was anchored to the shifting ground, who will be swept away by confusion and fear, and those whose security was anchored to the rock that does not move regardless of what shakes around it. I am commanding you today to make your choice about which category you will belong to. Not next month. Not when things become clearer. Not when you have gathered enough evidence to make a comfortable, risk-free decision. Today. Because the clear skies I have given you right now are not a permanent weather forecast. They are a window, a strategic opening of calm that I have engineered specifically so that you could make this choice from a place of clarity rather than crisis. Building your foundation during an earthquake is exponentially harder than building it during peace. I am giving you peace right now. Use it. This means anchoring your thoughts to my word, rather than to the fluctuating reports of a world in transition. This means choosing to respond to circumstances from a posture of trust, rather than a posture of panic. This means deciding, once and for all, that the God who has carried you through everything you have already survived is trustworthy to carry you through everything that is yet to come. And it means making that decision with an irreversibility that the enemy cannot negotiate with, that doubt cannot erode, and that fear cannot reverse. Cross the threshold, my child. I have been preparing you for this moment with a patience and a precision that spans every chapter of your existence. The training is complete. The refining has done its work. The character that was needed for what lies beyond this doorway has been forged in you through every fire you walked through. You are not approaching this threshold as the same person who started this journey. You are approaching it as someone who has been transformed by the very process that once threatened to destroy you. And the transformation is sufficient. You are ready. If this message has been part of a series of encounters that are pulling you deeper into your purpose, if you sense that what I have been speaking over you extends beyond a single sitting and into an ongoing conversation between your spirit and mine, subscribe to this channel right now and make sure those notifications are turned on. I am not finished with you. There are layers still waiting to be uncovered. Chapters of this sealed letter that I will continue reading to you in the days ahead. Do not let the enemy create distance between these words and your ears by leaving this moment without securing your connection to the messages that follow. Let me speak about the night seasons, my beloved child, because understanding them will remove one of the last weapons the enemy holds against your peace. You have experienced periods when my presence seemed to withdraw. Seasons when prayers felt like words spoken into an empty room. Times when the spiritual fire that once burned hot inside you cooled to embers so faint that you wondered if it had ever been real at all. Those dark stretches terrified you. They whispered that something had gone wrong between us, that perhaps your sin was too great, your faith too weak, or your attention too divided for me to remain close. But I need you to understand a truth about night that the enemy has fought to keep hidden from you. Darkness is not evidence of my absence. Some of my most transformative work happens precisely where your eyes cannot see and your senses cannot confirm. Consider the seed that is buried in soil. No light reaches it. No observer can watch its transformation. It exists in complete darkness. And yet it is in that exact environment that the most explosive growth takes place. The shell cracks, the root extends, the life force gathers its strength. All of it invisible, all of it silent, all of it happening in conditions that would look like abandonment to anyone who cannot see beneath the surface. Your night seasons operated on this same principle, my child. While you were questioning whether I was still there, while you were struggling to feel my presence, and fighting the panic that comes when familiar landmarks disappear, I was performing deep work in the unseen layers of your spirit. I was strengthening roots that needed to go deeper before the tree could grow taller. I was expanding capacity in your soul that needed to be larger before the blessings I planned could be safely contained. I was removing foundations that were built on sand and replacing them with bedrock. And that replacement work could only happen in the darkness because some structures must be demolished before new ones can be erected. And the demolition would have been too disorienting if you could see it happening in real time. Now I want to speak about the battlefield of your mind, my precious child. Because it is there that the decisive battles of this next season will be won or lost. I am not talking about simply thinking positively, as though cheerful thoughts alone could override the realities of spiritual warfare. I am talking about learning to think in alignment with what I have declared rather than in reaction to what circumstances appear to be saying. Because circumstances are interpreters, my child. They take raw events and assign them meaning. And the meaning they assign is not always, and in fact is not often, the meaning that I intended. When a door closes, circumstances tell you that opportunity has ended. But my word says that sometimes I close doors to redirect your steps toward an entrance that leads somewhere infinitely better than where you were heading. When finances tighten, circumstances tell you that provision has been cut off. But my word says that I own everything, and that I test the depth of trust through temporary scarcity before releasing permanent abundance. When relationships end, circumstances tell you that you were rejected. But my word says that some connections must be severed to make room for the covenant partnerships I am bringing. The discipline I am inviting you into is this. When fear seizes your thoughts and tries to drag them toward the worst possible interpretation of what is happening around you, you catch that thought before it reaches the throne of your beliefs, and you compare it against what I have declared. If the thought contradicts my word, you do not entertain it. You do not negotiate with it. You do not give it a seat at the table of your decision-making. You replace it with the truth, and you hold that truth in place until the fear retreats. This is not a one-time act. It is a daily discipline that over time rewires the very pathways through which your mind processes reality. And when those pathways are fully aligned with my word rather than with the enemy's suggestions, you will experience a stability in the midst of chaos that the world will not be able to explain. Now hear the final decree of this sealed letter, my beloved child, the most authoritative passage that has been reserved for this exact moment, when every preceding truth has been laid as foundation, and your spirit is fully prepared to receive the weight of what I am about to pronounce over your existence. I, Archangel Michael, speaking with the delegated authority of the throne of the Most High God, declare over your life in this hour what no circumstance, no enemy, no failure, and no force in heaven or on earth has the power to reverse. A new season has begun over your life, not a symbolic new beginning that fades when the emotion of this moment passes. A literal, structural, irreversible shift in the spiritual architecture of your days. the old season, the one defined by confusion, delay, hidden battles, unrecognized wounds, and the slow erosion of dreams. That season has reached its expiration. Its authority over your days has been officially revoked. Every pattern of defeat that repeated itself in your life through that season has been interrupted at the root. Every cycle of disappointment that convinced you that change was impossible has been broken at its foundational mechanism. What operated before does not operate anymore. I decree that the sealed letter containing every promise God wrote over your life before the world began is now fully opened, fully activated, and fully operational. Every delay that held back your provision is lifted. Every barrier that stood between you and your divine assignment is removed. Every false identity that was placed upon you by voices that had no authority to define you is dissolved. Every agreement you made with the enemy's narrative about your worth, your future, and your limitations is canceled, null, and void from this moment forward. I decree that you will see with your own eyes the fulfillment of things you stopped believing were possible. Relationships that carry the DNA of covenant. Resources that arrive with a timing so precise that you will know beyond any shadow of doubt that a supernatural hand arranged their delivery. Doors that open without any human effort on your part, because the one who holds the keys decided that this was the appointed hour. Dreams that awaken from their hibernation and begin producing fruit at a rate that makes up for every year that was consumed by the season of waiting. I decree that the light of this new morning will not be temporary. This is not a brief clearing between storms. This is the dawn of a day that extends into the rest of your life. The darkness that preceded it was not pointless. It was the final compression before the breakthrough, the last contraction before the birth of something that will make everything you endured suddenly, brilliantly, permanently worth it. You are not what happened to you. You are not what was spoken over you. You are not what failed in your past or what broke under pressure. You are what God declared you to be before any of those things occurred. And His declaration is the final word. Stand in it. Walk in it. Breathe in it. And never again allow any voice, human, demonic, or your own, to speak a word over your identity that contradicts what the Creator Himself has written. My beloved child, as this sealed letter reaches its final lines, let me gather the essence of everything that has been spoken over you today. You are not an accident. Your pain was preparation. Your wounds are becoming your greatest source of light. The lies spoken over your identity have been revoked. The agreement you made with the enemy's limitations has been canceled. Your dream is alive and awakening. And the new season that began the moment you started listening to these words is irreversible. May the hand of the Most High God rest upon your head in this moment. May His peace flood every anxious corridor of your mind. May His provision chase you down paths you have not yet walked. And may the light that is breaking over your life today illuminate not just your own steps, but the steps of every soul connected to your journey. Now, my beloved, think of 2 more people who need to hear these words before this day ends. Someone in your WhatsApp group who has been unusually quiet lately. A family member whose laughter has grown rare. Send this to them now. Not tomorrow, not when you remember. Now. You do not know what battle they are fighting in silence at this very hour. This message in their hands could be the lifeline that keeps them holding on. If the words in this sealed letter reached places inside you that nothing else has been able to touch. If something shifted in your spirit today that you know was not ordinary, then I want to invite you to become part of the community that makes these messages possible. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can support this mission by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member. Every act of generosity you plant into this work grows into a torch that burns in someone else's darkness. And the promise of heaven is clear. What you give into the purposes of God will be multiplied back into your life in measures that overflow beyond what you have room to contain. Come, join this family of believers. Plant your seed into fertile kingdom ground. And watch what God does with the offering of a willing heart. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, Do it now and turn on every notification. What I have spoken today is only the beginning. There are remaining pages of this sealed letter that I will continue reading in the messages that follow. Do not let distance grow between your ears and the words that are still waiting to be delivered. And now, my precious child, let us close this sacred encounter the way it was always meant to end, in the presence of the one who began it. Heavenly Father, I bring this beloved child before your throne right now, wrapped in every truth that was spoken today and sealed by the authority of your word. Guard their mind from every thought that contradicts what you have declared. Protect their heart from every voice that would attempt to reverse the healing that has begun. Walk before them into every hour that follows this one and prepare the ground they will step on. Let the sealed letter that was read today become a living reality in every dimension of their existence, from their finances to their relationships, from their health to their purpose, from their innermost wounds to their most visible victories. Cover them with your hand. Hold them with your strength, and lead them step by step into the fullness of everything you wrote over their life before time began. In the mighty and matchless name of Jesus Christ, amen.